If you run an OnlyFans management agency that's making at least 15K a month and you're still stuck relying on DMs to sign models or referrals, you're fucked, right? So in this video today, I want to actually show you how we built a funnel that books qualified creator calls on autopilot and pre-closes about 30 to 40% of them. And you can use this with ads or organic, right? And so I'm going to literally do a deep dive on the offer and lead magnet, the actual ad strategy, the ads themselves with the ad hooks, the VSL, the funnel, the pre-call VSL, and that whole sequence, right? So this is a very high level video. So if you are an agency making at least 15K a month and you want to run paid ads or just implement some sort of funnel lead magnet offer for your organic stuff, then this video is for you, right? If you're a beginner, do not watch this video, but you will leave this video today with like the exact VSL scripts, the funnels, the ad hooks, like pretty much everything you need to be able to predictably, reliably, and scalably sign consistent, high quality models month over month so your pipeline doesn't dry up, right? So let's just jump straight to the laptop and let's go. So today, pretty much we're going to be going over paid ads. Now, there's going to be relevance in you for everyone. So like, even though this is mainly going to be for people that are like got the budget to run paid ads, we're going to be recapping lead magnets, which is what we talked about in last week's mastermind. I would advise you to go and watch last week's mastermind because ads are going to perform better if you have a good lead magnet, but we'll recap it in this like briefly. And then we're going to be the other reason why it'll sort of be relevant for those that may not want to run paid ads is because we're also going to be going over VSLs, which you can obviously use for organic, and the actual like funnel side of things. So lead magnets, VSLs, pre-call VSLs, and obviously ads in and of itself, right? So the goal here is like, how to actually book quality creator interviews and close them in the fastest sales cycle possible, right? So we're going to be looking at like building a creator facing funnel. So you can use that for organic if you're not doing paid. So the same principles apply. So just make sure like when I'm going over the funnel, going over the VSL, even though the actual ads portion might not be relevant, make sure you're taking notes and applying what I'm saying in the funnel side, lead magnet side, VSL side, because again, you can literally just run organic traffic to those same sort of funnels with little tweaks, right? So we're going to be going over creative facing funnel, right? Then paid ads to lead magnet to VSL to book calls to pre-call VSL, and that's pretty much the flow of today's call. So you'll leave with like some sort of like hook examples, script examples, a funnel, and so on and so forth, right? And like I said, because we're also recapping lead magnets, VSL cold funnels, then this will be relevant for those of you that can't or don't even want to run ads yet, and you can just use them for organic funnels, right? So ideally, this is really for agencies that are making at least 15K a month, right? Who actually want like predictable, qualified creator interviews and a higher show and close rate, right? Like you've proven the delivery, you're making 15K plus a month, you've got a budget to actually test and spend on ads. And you can go from there. The ad section of this like this call is not for like sort of like newbies who don't necessarily have any sort of delivery or any ability to spend money on ads or any ability to actually onboard new creators who can't show basic proof and so on and so forth, right? So again, mainly for people at more of a higher level call today, because everything I'm going to talk about assumes that you can deliver, right? So if you have never run ads before, if you've got no proof, if you've got no means of being able to get a media buyer for the sort of technical side of ads, then the ad section is not necessarily going to be for you, right? Because we're not going to cover like the technical setup of like, oh, we're going to be targeting this and this and this. Like the easiest way to solve that problem, if you can afford to run ads, is just to hire a media buyer for 2 to 3K a month, right? And that's like the easiest way. Like there's no point in you learning to run the skill of how to actually do the technical ad setup, right? You just go and get a media buyer. So we're not going to be covering the technical stuff today either. So with a good paid ad system, like you can quite easily be booking 20 to 40 calls per month, and have a show rate of 75 to 85%, right? Like quite easily if you have a really solid funnel sales team and so on and so forth. So every tactic today, like that we're going to go over, is like pointed at one thing, which is more qualified conversations with creators, right? Who actually want out, not just get like 1,000 creators that are all like low quality. Like it's all going to be targeted at like, right, you need an avatar and you need to sort of go for quality, not just like lowest cost per lead, right? So again, we're going to look at offer and lead magnet, recap that, ads and hooks, a direct lead VSL, a pre-call VSL, and the actual funnel, right? So that is key. Now, let's get started. So let me just share this. Right. So the core principle, right? The core principle of like the actual ads portion is hooks drive attention, offers convert that attention, and then the volume compounds it, right? So hooks are literally going to be like 80% of the battle. The offers is going to be like the speed, the risk reduction, the ease, and so on. And then the volume is just taking more shots, right? If you take more shots at ads, you test more hooks, you spend more money, you're gonna get more winners over time, right? When you're in doubt, if ads are not performing and you like feel like you've tested everything, you always go back to the offer and that avatar, right? And then you produce more winning variants based on that, right? So recapping offer and lead magnets from last week, right? The premise of that is right, like hooks get attention and offers make obviously the creators say yes. So you want to obviously lock in a simple offer and one lead magnet that's actually valuable that helps the OnlyFans creator in whatever way, right? Like drive more paying subs, get more whales, increase your chats, like wherever that is. And you want to choose one main angle, right? Which is speed, risk, and ease, right? Not, it doesn't have to be all three, but choose one main angle for the offer and lead magnet, right? So it's either like, speed, which is going to be like new paying subs within X amount of days. Risk is going to be like, you can leave whenever you want. You approve everything first, like whatever, right? We're going to make sure that none of your content gets leaked, so on and so forth. And ease is going to be like, we'll literally do like everything for you, right? Like we'll run all the traffic for you. We'll do all the chats. We'll make sure fans stay. All you have to do is just create the stuff we tell you to do and just approve wherever goes out, right? So pick one primary and then the others will just become supporting bullets, right? Because like, yeah, you're going to need all three, like speed, risk, and ease, but like pick one main angle versus just like trying to say all of them at the start. And the other ones just become supporting points of the main angle, right? And then we've got the promise. Okay, so the promise is, for example, more new paying subs, more whales, and a higher average spend per fan from your chats without working longer, right? That's like a super plain, easy example of like a promise. Then obviously, again, you have the guarantee, right? So for example, you could have, if you don't get at least 2,000 paying subs in 30 days, we work for free until you do. Or if you don't see clear buy-in activity like in the chats within 14 days, like we work for free until you do. Or like if we miss the target, then we'll fund your next content shoot up to $1,000, wherever it is that you want to do, right? Then obviously that's the offer side, right? So one main angle, right? You've got the promise, which could be, for example, more new paying subs, more whales, higher average spend per fan from your chats without working longer. The guarantee, right? If you don't get at least 2,000 paid subs in 30 days, we work for free until you do. And then you move to the lead magnet, right? So again, lead magnet could be wherever you want to call it, right? Like a chat money map where you have a quick PDF and a short Loom video that includes like how to actually make the most out of your chats that they can implement there and then, right? And then the call to action of that lead magnet could be to jump on a call and we'll give you like a free chat teardown where we like go through your chat and live on the call, tell you what you're doing wrong, tell you what you can improve, and that just ultimately turns into a sales call, right? So that would be like a reveal, right? Like a chat money map, like a reveal where you're giving them a PDF, giving them a Loom, and including, this is how often you should reply, right? This is some example messages. This is a script. This is how you organize everything, right? This is a simple day upsell ladder. This is how you set up the account, blah, 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 right? Wherever that is. And then you can have obviously a free chat teardown, right? Which goes to like, for example, the trial period. So you get them in with the chat money map, then you go to a free chat teardown, which I've already explained. And then from there, you can, upsell them to your main thing. So that is key there, right? Again, from last week's call, I'm not going to go deep into
offers and lead magnets we covered in last week's call. So I suggest if you haven't watched that, go back and watch that. So the conversion flow of the offer and lead magnet is like very fast value, right? If you give them fast value that they can implement there and then and get a quick win, the trust rises. Then they're willing to book some sort of call with you if the trust rises. Then you show them where they're messing up. Like, for example, if you're using the chat and lead magnet because chatting is your best thing and that's where your offers around and so on and so forth, then you know on the call you're showing them where the actual money is being left in the chats. And then you're just making the ask, like, do you want us to install this system for you? And that's when you're closing them on wherever your offer is, right? Now, these are all examples. I'm talking about chats and chat lead magnets, but obviously it completely depends, right? This could all be, you know, to do with traffic, or it could be to do with whatever it is that you want to do, right? So that is key, right? So like all you really need to do to recap that is like circle whether you're going to go for your main angle of speed, risk, or ease, depending on what you can do better. Write like a one-line guarantee with a specific number, like we're going to do X, Y, Z in X amount of time, and then choose sort of what lead magnet style is going to actually ship this week, right? So that's the recap of that. Now let's actually get into the ads and the hook scripting, right? Like I said, if you don't understand offers, lead magnets, go and watch last week's call, right? So we're not gonna I'm not gonna teach you how to, like I said, run ads technically because you can just get a media buyer for that. Like I don't need, like I kind of know the technicals of ads because I used to do it, but like I would just get a media buyer. Like it's so much easier. Like you don't have to be the expert in everything. Like if you're gonna run ads, like I would advise, unless you've got experience, like just go and get a media buyer, and just pay them wherever, whether it's a salary, whether it's a retainer plus a performance fee, wherever, right? Now, what matters more than anything else when running ads is the hooks, the messaging, the script structure, the actual creative, and then the actual funnels, right? And so, like, even if you like add a poor media buyer, if the hooks are good, the messaging's good, the positioning's good, the script structure is good, the funnel is good, the lead magnet's good, like all the main stuff, like the 80%, if that's good, like even with a bad media buyer, you'll get results, right? Because you could almost just do open targeting and let Meta's AI do the rest. And like that's it. Like you'll get results, right? So the most universal ad script that I've used forever in my agency, in my coaching business, and all the people we've worked with that implement this is six-step ad script, right? So the six-step ad script looks like this, right? Number one, attention, right? So grab them in the first second. Number two is the key benefit. So show them the biggest outcome that they want in their language, not in your language, right? A lot of people make the mistake of talking in agency talk where they're like, saying technical terms that like only us as business people would understand, right? Number three is the without, so removing the pain of what they hate. Number four is proof, right? So a quick result, some testimonials, case studies, wherever. Number five is the time-sensitive offer, so the actual reason that they should act now. And then number six is the downside of inaction, which is one of the most powerful psychological principles of loss aversion, right? So what they lose if they actually don't act, right? So recapping again, right? The six-step ad script is attention to key benefit, to without the pain, to the proof, to the time-sensitive offer, to the downside of inaction, right? So an example of that, like again, broad examples, don't copy these. Based on your avatar, right? Let's just say you was to go for creators that are making above 10K a month, right? The attention part of the ad would be like creators doing above 10K a month, quick reality check, right? That could be the attention sort of grabbing hook, right? Then you state the key benefit. So it could be, creators above 10K a month, quick reality check. We double your earnings in 30 days by fixing your traffic and your chats, right? So your content and your brand. And then you add the without, right? Which is part three. So without the pay, without an agency, blah, 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 or, without spamming your DMs and, ruining your account or wherever the what without is that your avatar is after, right? And the biggest mistake most people make I've reviewed quite a few ads over the last years that I've been doing this. The biggest mistake that I always see people make is they always make their ads the wording always goes around like attracting new creators, and then they wonder why they struggle, and it's because their ads are very sort of new opportunity based. But that's not what you ideally want to do unless that's the market you want to go after, right? So like if you want to go after like new creators that wanted this new opportunity to make money, cool. But like most of you don't want to do that because there's a lot, working with beginners and those types of people tend to be very difficult, right? Yeah, you can find the odd like diamond in the rough that will do well, but like I would rather personally work with like creators that already have something proven, they're making 10K a month, so on and so forth, right? And so like just be careful with your language when you're scripting your ads, because a lot of people will be like, oh, they'll say stuff like you don't have to work longer hours or you can work less. So, they make it seem like so easy and that like there's nothing on them and they're just gonna like just literally click this button and you're just going to make tons of money. And it's like that's just it'll attract tons of leads, but it'll attract tons of low quality leads. And the cost per lead will probably be extremely cheap, because it's such a new opportunity, the shiny object, but it's going to attract the wrong type of people, right? And a lot of people's like sort of avatar and messaging isn't coherent, right? Like in the ads will be saying like, we'll be flashing luxury, it'll be, explaining like these big crazy results, and they'll be explaining how it's so easy for them and they don't have to work, and they just try and like make it seem as easy on the creator as possible. And then they'll go to like their funnel, and the funnel will be like more qualifying, like, oh, you have to be making 10K a month, you have to do this. And it's just, there's no coherence, right? So you have to, from hook to ad to funnel to VSL, like it all needs to be coherent, right? So again, an angle example, right? If we're looking at the sort of speed and risk angle, again, the attention part could be creators doing about 10K a month, quick reality check, right? Key benefit, we double your earnings in 30 days by fixing your traffic and your chat in, right? So AKA your content and your brand without XYZ pain, right? Again, people tend to say like, oh, without working more or whatever, wouldn't recommend. And then the proof, right? So, one of our creators that we applied this for went from, 12K a month to 24K a month, or 12K a month to 38K a month in the first 20 days of us applying this, right? That's the proof. Then you have the time sensitivity. So we're only onboarding 3 creators this month only, because we work with like creators on a one-to-one basis. That's how we're able to make such crazy claims. However, like every week without, like if you don't do this, like every single week without a proper chatting system and traffic system, you're potentially leaving hundreds of thousands of dollars on the table, for example, right? So like that would be an example of like of an ad script using that framework: attention, key benefit, the without, the proof, the time sensitive, and the downside, right? So that's the first thing. Now, there's tons of other angles you can come up with, right? Like if you go in with the risk reduction angle, you might want to go down the opposite route of framing yourself that you're not an agency. And so you could start by grabbing their attention, saying like, do you hate agencies? Like, so do we, right? Like we help you with this XYZ, like traffic and chats that like agencies do, but in this different way. And you're making it seem different, you're positioning yourself different. And like those sort of trust and control angles can also do really well, right? And then again, if you are going after like more of a newer market, then it's going to be more like sort of lifestyle reclaim, like targeting solo creators. And so that's the things you have to consider. Are you going to, if you're going after creators that are like, if your avatar is creators making above 20K a month, you have to understand like where most of the creators making about 20K a month. Well, they're already signed to agencies. So if you're saying stuff like you posting daily and still like stuck chatting at 2 a.m., like that's not going to hit those creators, right? Because they're not stuck at chatting at 2 a.m. They're not posting daily. The agency's doing it for them if you're going after avatar 20K a month, right? So who do you think that's going to attract? Well, it's going to attract the newer people who are doing that, right? So you have to be very careful with the words you use in the language. And so you have to really think like, who is your avatar? What are their pains? What do they need help with? What's their current situation? Well, like I said, if they're making at least 20K a month and they're from the UK, for example, then you need to understand that most creators making 20K a month are with an agency, right? Yes, there's exceptions to the rule, but there's always exceptions to the rule. You can't target those in your ads, right? So like the key is to understand what I've just said. And so like that is like the biggest thing that I could give you in terms of like scripting is like you need to have very coherent language from the ad to the VSL to the funnel to the pre-call funnel to the sales call and so on and so forth. Does that make sense? Is everyone with me on what I mean by that when I say like, the right language for the right avatar? Cool. Okay, sick. So yeah, that's like also why, hold 1 sec, let me just let these people in. Give me a sec. Yeah, that's also why a lot of people don't get results in ads because the messaging is just completely off. So yeah, just think what you want, who you're targeting, and get really clear on your avatar. I'm gonna send you guys a Notion doc after this to help you with your VSL, but it'll also help you with your avatar, right? So I've made like sort of a fill in the blank template that you can just like fill in. Don't put her into ChatGPT and get ChatGPT to do it. Like literally just spend time filling her in, it'll be way better. Like ChatGPT doesn't do this thing justice, right? So I'll send that to you guys when we get to that part. But that's also going to help with ads and so on and so forth. Because if you know this sort of stuff for the VSL, your ads almost become easier. And so like I would almost work backwards. So like for me, when I'm creating ads, that's the last thing I do. Like I don't create the ads first. Like I create the lead magnet, then I create the VSL because I know then where I'm pushing them to, right? I know what the funnel's like, I know what the VSL says, and I know all of that. So then it makes the ads easier, and I've got all the details from the VSL, right? So if I know, like in the VSL, I'm targeting the audience and their pain points, I'm showing transformations and proof, I'm going over offers and objections they might have, I'm adding urgency, I'm doing everything that it's just a longer ad, right? That's all a VSL really is. And so then I can work down from there and then create the ads that go to that VSL. So even the ads and the VSL are also coherent, right? Because if my ads are like taking the angle of like helping with chatting, and then my VSL doesn't mention chatting, they're going to be like, what the fuck? Like, I'm so confused. Like, I don't understand what's going on, right? So I always do the VSL first and work backwards from there. So when I send you the Notion doc for the VSL, fill that out first as the very first action step, and then you create the ads based on that template, right? So yeah. Okay. So core insight when it comes to ads, right? Again, very similar to organic. Hooks are still 80% of the battle, right? Because if the hooks flop on ads, then nothing else really matters. Whereas if the hook lands, even a very average ad can win, right? But the key here is at the start, you're not going for perfection. It's better to just get stuff out at the start and test versus like trying to get like spending an hour just making one ad. Like just do volume, so you can figure out what wins, right? It's better to just get it out there than waste time on perfection. So when it comes to like sort of ad strategy and hooks, there's really 6 improvement buckets is what I would call them, right? Which is number one, the first bucket is better offers and lead magnets, right? Which we've already talked about. Again, just to recap, you've got speed, risk reduction, and ease, right? So those are the focus angles. Make the promise concrete, for example, 2,000 new paying subs in 30 days or we work for free, right? And the lead magnet must solve a quarter of your main offer for free, right? So if your main offer is tailored around how amazing your chatting is and that's what you do as a chatting service, then you're going to want to give them something that solves the first quarter of that, right? So whether that's a chat teardown where you audit their chats and give them the scripts that you would give your models to film, that or a welcome message, or an entire audit of like optimizing their page and their welcome, like whatever you want to do, it needs to solve a quarter of your main offer for free. It can't just be some like cookie cutter PDF that ChatGPT made you that has like basic tips and tricks that anyone can find out for free and probably already know, right? It needs to be a part of your offer, right? So I'll give you an example of a lead magnet that I built very recently. For my coaching business, like a lead magnet I built very recently is a $97 product lead magnet, right? That $97 product solves like at the first quarter of like my main offer, which is like acquisition, right? Because once you solve acquisition, it's like, well, what's the next problems that you're going to face? Well, once you solve acquisition, the next problems is going to be, well, delivery, right? So like traffic, chatting, but we're not solving that. So like, they're going to need to pay me for that. And it's the exact same thing with your model, right? Like, whereas like if for example, you are going the chatting route, it's like, okay, well, let's just say the traffic route, like, let's just say you're going to give them 100 viral video ideas that they can recreate, right? Cool. But once they get in traffic and then they get new subs, well, what's the next inevitable problem? Well, they're chatting, they OnlyFans optimization, they funnel. And so like now you've actually got leeway to do all that stuff for them because you've helped them with the first part, right? And so that's what really matters. And vice versa as well, right? Like if you solve the chatting stuff for them, well, what's the next inevitable problem going to be? Well, if there's no subs coming into the account, then there's only so much you can do on the chat inside. And so like let you go and solve that for them as well, right? And so that's what your lead magnet should do. It should solve a quarter of your main offer for free, right? Like it should actually be that valuable. And once you get really advanced, you can start to, charge for lead magnets and so on and so forth. But the free lead magnet works by far the best. Now that's that, right? So if you haven't watched the lead magnet training, I'll say again, like go and watch that, right? Redesign your lead magnet this week to be so good that it feels like something that others would charge for. Like that's how it needs to feel. Like it needs to sting. It needs to like, you need to be like, fuck, should I even be giving this away for free? Like, should I, like, I don't know. Like if it feels like that, like you need to make a decision, right? And so like it should generally hurt you to give it away for free because people think like giving away their secrets and stuff for free is like gonna affect them, but in reality it doesn't. Like, and reality is like probably less than 1% of people are even gonna implement the stuff you're giving away, right? Like I could literally probably release my entire like program on YouTube for free. Maybe 1% of people would actually implement it, right? Maybe, probably less. Because like if like you have to pay attention, right? If you don't pay for stuff, most of the time it doesn't get implemented. And so it filters out the shit people from the quality people, because even the people that pay sometimes don't even implement the stuff. So it's like if you give them free, they're most likely never gonna use it, right? So that's key. Now, more ads production is the next thing, right? So the first bucket, like I said, is actually better offers and lead magnets. The second bucket is more ad production, right? So you ideally want to be aiming for 1 to 5 ads per 1K in monthly spend, right? And that's if you're going super broad. If you're targeting like a super, like, which you never really need to do in this industry, but like if you're targeting like a super local area for some reason, like maybe you've just found a jackpot in like Miami, then ideally you want to be doing 5 to 10 ads per 1K in spend. But for most of you, like you're not just going to be targeting like one solo, like single local area like Miami. It's mainly going to be like national. And so like that's going to be 1 to 5 ads, rule of thumb, per 1K in monthly spend. So like you want to be aiming for at least 5 to 8 new ads each week minimum, right? So 7 ad types that you can rotate through. Number 1 is life cycle ads, right? So this is from when a creator joins to the growth of the creator to the result. Okay, so it's like this is the whole, like it's almost like like you walking them through what happens when they say yes to your thing. So like this is when Sydney joined, this is what the growth looked like, this is what the results look like. Okay. In-person events can be really good ads. So like if you do any, in-person creator events, just sort of behind the scenes team moments, like stuff like that can do extremely well when it comes to ads. That's that, right? Like client scrapes, I guess you could say, where it's like you actually give like, when you've screenshotted like positive things your models have said, you can literally run that as like static ads, right? Like quite literally, right? If you've got a model that's just absolutely praised you and has had some amazing stuff, you can just screenshot it and run that as an ad, like literally just a static ad, right? They perform really good. Testimonial competitions, right? You can do that. You can also use UGC for stuff like that, like UGC from, you can just pay UGC creators to create those type of ads for you if you don't want to show your actual creators. Obviously like the before and after stuff, then just the general like organic stuff. So like if you've had organic reels that have done well, that are like OnlyFans creator specific reels, like your avatar specific reels, just adding a call to action to them and running them. That can work really well. Even as simple as if you have no idea how to run ads, right? And you just want to like get a big basic effect from it and you just want to spend like $100 and you're doing organic. If you've had an organic post that has done really well, like just boost the post. Like literally boost the post. Like if you've got a CTA on it, just boost the post. Like if you've made an organic piece of content that pushes your lead magnet where you're saying like comment the word, chat in and I'll send you my chat, blah, 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 lead magnet, and you've got like that set up to a ManyChat automation, you can just boost that post on inside of Instagram, and you'll probably get some decent like quality leads from it because it's performed organically. And then you just got obviously like the standard, just token ads, like token head, following the 6-step ad script. Like that's like obviously the easiest one, the least friction to do, and they tend to perform good as long as the hooks are good, the meat's good, and so on and so forth, right? So that is key. Now you want as much proof as possible, right? The more proof you have, the better. Okay. So if you can screenshot stuff from chats with clients, like start doing stuff like that. Like the more proof, the better. So that is just gonna help your ads perform. Now it's not the end all be all. Like you can have ads perform without any proof. Just makes your life easier, right? Probably will lower your sort of cost per book call and stuff like that. So that's the second bucket, is like just doing more ads production, right? So just rotating through those types of ads, right? Trying the token head ads and life cycle ads and just picture ads of you like scraping a win, or testimonials, or actual demonstration ads of you demonstrating what it looks like to work with you, and so on and so forth. Then, like I said, the third bucket is better creative through hooks, right? So there's 5 awareness stages to target, and you need to understand these to actually have performing ads. Now, the first stage is the most away, right? So this is going to be offer driven. So, join risk free, 30-day exit. Like if you don't like after 30 days, like it's, just wherever, like you can leave, right? Product away is going to be more proof driven ads, right? So, creators who switch agencies, like to us, added an extra 3,000 to 6,000 subs a month, right? That's like someone who's away, like their product away. Like that's the sort of like ads, that's the sort of like psychology behind the ad you want to run, is like proof driven. If they're solution away, then it's going to be promise driven, right? So that's like, for example, at solution away, they're probably going to be at a stage where potentially they're chatting themselves. And so it's like, oh, you can take the angle of you can actually go to sleep and make money while you sleep kind of thing. Problem away, they're going to be at the stage where it's like very pain driven. So like you want to be targeting that specific thing. Like if you're still like blindly posting and like hoping for a viral video, like that's going to be sort of pain driven. And then you got an away, right? Which is like very cold ads. And this is all going to be like curiosity based, right? Like straight curiosity based. So the most away, right? The 5 awareness stages to target. Most away is going to be your offer driven. Product away is going to be proof driven. Solution away is going to be promise driven. Problem away is going to be pain driven. And unaway is going to be curiosity driven, right? So that is what you need to understand there. And then once you have winning ads, you want to, what I would say, kaleidoscope them, right? So once you have a winning ad that's like performing, that's getting the highest quality creators at a price that's good, that's when you want to start to sort of reskin them by changing the actor, like the actual actor in the ad. So, I would say like when I'm in the ad, I'm the actor, right? So like changing the person in the ad. Changing the background, right? Changing the speed, like putting it to 1.5x speed, changing the captions, changing the fonts, like kaleidoscoping the winners, right? And the biggest thing when it comes to ads is the actual hooks. So you want to be doing like, if you're gonna be posting like 5 to 10 ads a week, like you need like 50 hooks. Like you want to be testing hooks, right? And so like film those hooks in batches and constantly remix them, right? Because you want to be aiming at like, okay, let's get 3 to 5 like core meats, like the meat of the ad, like the actual main middle, 50 hooks, and then two different call to actions, for example. That's sort of like rule of thumb, right? Now, obviously, it depends on your budget and how much you spend and so on and so forth. Like that's what you need to work out based on your budget. But like that's sort of the ideal like ratio, right? 50 hooks to 5 ads to 2 call to actions. And that's what you ideally want to be doing there. Then you've got like the targeting side. Again, not going to get too technical here, right? But the biggest like sort of advice I can give you when it comes to the like analyzing the ads, seeing if your media buyer is doing a good job. A lot of media buyers will like, you sort of know them not necessarily good media buyers if they optimize for cost per lead. A lot of media buyers optimize solely on cost per lead, but cost per lead is a bad metric and doesn't really mean anything. Like the focus metric always is ROI, right? Like return on ad spend, return on investment, wherever you want to call it, right? So like if you are prioritizing cost per lead, it's the wrong metric to be looking at, right? Because a $500 cost per lead with a $5,000 model lifetime value is going to beat a $2 cost per lead with zero lifetime value, or 100, or like, $10 lifetime value, right? Whatever it is, like $500 cost per lead with 5K LTV will beat a $100 cost per lead with $500 LTV, to look at it as another example, right? In an easy way. And so like that's something that you want to be working out. Like what is the average retention of you? Like you need to be tracking these things all the time to understand how well your ads are performing. Now you don't need all the data at the start, and it doesn't have to be perfect off the start. It'll get in eventually, like once you track this stuff, but you need to start tracking like, okay, well, all the creators we've worked with, what's the average time that they stay with us? Is it 6 months? Is it 3 months? Then what is the average money that we've made between all of those creators, and where do they come in at? Like what's our avatar? So for example, this is why you need an avatar, because if you're only accepting creators that are making at least 5K a month, and with those, you've got data on those creators that within the first month, you always double their income within the first month, bare minimum. Firstly, it's going to make your ads better, it's going to make your offer better, but it's going to make your data and tracking better, because if you know that every single creator that's making at least 5K a month, that has 10K followers on social media and wherever your avatar is, right? If you know that your avatar has a lifetime value of $5,000, then it doesn't matter if you spend $500 or even $1,000 for one lead, right? Like it doesn't matter, because you would do that if you spend $500 to get a lead that lifetime value is $5,000, like you've made your money back, right? And so like that's sort of the stuff you want to be optimizing for, versus just like, oh yeah, we got $2 cost per lead and we're getting 100 leads a month. Like doesn't mean anything, right? Like how good are the leads? What's the LTV? Like all this sort of stuff you need to be looking at and understanding, right? So you want to be reviewing your numbers, and you want to be looking at, are you optimizing for cheap leads or profitable leads? And you should be optimizing for profitable leads, right? Because a lot of media buyers, maybe a lot of you will turn your ads off once they go above $10 or $20 cost per lead. But it's like, what if that ad would have got you your like dream avatar at $500 cost per lead, and you can only go up to $500 cost per lead and have the balls to do that if you know that the average LTV is 5K, 10K, 20K, whatever that number is, right? And so like that's why you need to be tracking that stuff. And then the best part is, once you've got 100 leads that are of your avatar, that have a minimum 5K LTV, blah blah blah, whatever it is, you can then make interest demo-based ads, where you create 1% lookalike audiences, and Facebook is going to go and find more of those exact avatars. So your core bookings are going to be better, your sales are going to be better, and you're going to get even more high-value creators. So ads is a game of data over the long term. Again, this is not for you if you're not willing to spend money on ads to test. You don't have a media buyer and so on and so forth, right? Like ads is a very high level strategy. Like when beginners do it, like they don't tend to get results because there's a lot that goes into it, right? You've got positioning, you've got VSL, you've got the actual ad scripts themselves, you've got testing the hooks, you've got scaling the ad budgets, killing the ad budgets, actually tracking, right? Potentially using software like Hyros to see where the source is coming from and what your best ad is and what ad is creating the best high quality clients. And then not just that, but like how fast you actually hitting them up when an ideal client opts into the ads, which you need a sales team for, right? Like all these things make a big difference in ads. It's not just like one thing. And so like, unless you have the facilities to scale this business seriously, the actual ad side is not necessarily going to be for you. The VSL and all the other stuff we're about to go after this is for you. But this is like very high level, and the fact that you need the resources, the fulfillment to be able to do this, right? Like you need to be able to spend 5 to 10K a month on ads to not even worry, like really, right? Like that, obviously that's not what you want. Like you don't just be spending 5, 10K a month making nothing back. But like that's sort of the mindset you need to have. Like, okay, we're going to set aside 10% of our business or 20% of our business to specifically go into ads. to get data, to figure out what's working, and so on and so forth, right? You're going to need to hire a media buyer. You're going to need a dialer or a setter that can actually hit the leads up within 5 minutes of them opting in. Like you need all these different things that go into ads, right? So again, this is really only for the high level people. It's probably going to be overwhelming if you don't have the facilities to do this, okay? So that's like really key. But literally, if you operate like if you do ads at this level, you can quite literally take your agency from fucking 500K a month to 1 million a month, like very fast. But again, very high level strategy because there's a lot that goes into it. So that's that, right? That's the fourth bucket is the sort of targeting side, right? Again, focusing on ROI, not cost per lead. And then you got the proof side, right? So showing over telling, right? So you, again, documenting stuff, right? So OF analytics, inflow analytics, screenshots, voice notes from creators, whatever it is, UGC ads if you don't have proof, right? Every single win that you have with your creators, you can turn into a new ad, okay? And so like, even if you're not ready to run ads yet, start installing the systems to capture proof like immediately. Where if a creator says something positive, that gets put into some sort of Google Drive or some sort of, Airtable or wherever you want to do, right? That's key. And the sixth bucket is just volume and consistency, right? Most agencies under advertise, most try advertising once and fail because they don't have all this stuff dialed in and never advertise again, which is why it's so leveraged to advertise in this industry because quite frankly, everyone's a fucking retard. Like I say, the blunt way, like most people have no idea how to advertise and most agencies under advertise. And a lot of agencies think they've sort of like saturated the market by advertising. Like you've not saturated the market. Like I don't think you quite realize how many creators are actually out there that have not been targeted by the stimuli, right? Like they've spent 30K on ads and be like, oh, I just feel like I've hit everyone in the market. Like I'm just not getting leads. Like that's not how it works. Okay. There's like 7 million creators. So volume negates luck, right? The more hooks you test, the more winners you find. And so like if you are going to run ads and you are at the higher levels, like you just want to commit to a cadence where you're making 5 to 8 ads per week or 10 to 12 ad variants per week, like no matter what, right? Wherever the number is for you. So just to recap that sort of 6 bucket framework, right? You've got the offer and the lead magnet, which is the foundation. You've got the hooks, which is 80% of the battle. You've got the volume, which is the consistency. You've got the proof, which I would say is the fuel to all of this. And then the optimization stuff, where you're optimizing for ROI, not just cheap cost per leads, right? So with ads driving traffic, the next step is the direct VSL, right? So like a 5-minute video that converts those clicks from ads into calls. Super simple, right? VSL to phone. That's what it is. So direct lead VSL, right? Why does VSL exist? Well, most agencies in this space just sort of think like, oh, if I show creators a ton of proof in the DMs or wherever, that they'll apply, right? But the reality is creators are flooded with fake proof, agencies that are actually going to scam them. Like they viewed it all, right? And so like the VSL is not like some sort of hype up video where you're trying to like hype them up and like oversell them and just say like how amazing you are, how you're going to change their life and blah 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 blah, right? Like it's designed to do 2 things. The VSL. Number one is get qualified creators to book calls, right? Not creators that are just looking for shiny objects, looking for freebies. Like you don't want those, right? So designed to do VSL designed to do 2 things. Number one, get qualified creators to book calls. Number two, pre-handle their biggest objections so they can come into the call serious and ready to buy, right? So you think of it as sort of like a filter and a frame setter, right? You're setting the frame, setting the expectation, you're filtering for the right qualified leads. It's not a long pitch, and it's pre-selling them, right? It's heating them up. So the first step of VSL, right? Like the very first 3 to 5 seconds, which is optional, you don't necessarily have to do this step, worked well for me, is a pattern interrupt, right? So stopping them from scrolling and forcing their brain to ask like, wait, what is this, right? Because when they land on that funnel, on that webpage, they can scroll and they get distracted and X out, right? So the aim of the video is to have the video auto playing on mute, so it's playing, and they just click unmute and then they watch it, right? So stopping stopping them from like scrolling on the rest of the funnel and getting distracted to just boom, like, wait, what is this? Like, I need to watch this video, right? So that's why a pattern interrupt is pretty solid. Depends on the market you're going after. Like, you're not necessarily going to need a pattern interrupt for a very sophisticated market. If your positioning is good, your ads are good, and it's like very heavily like qualifying based, like, you know, if you know like the people landing on that page, like if they click that page, they're very serious. They wanna, you know, the top, like they're very product away, like they're very warm. Then you don't necessarily need to have a pattern interrupt. But for me, it's always just a good to include it, but it's not, you don't have to do it, right? So let me show you an example, right? Because without the pattern interrupt, a lot of the time they're not going to stick around to watch the rest of the video. It's the same as just having a hook, right? So here we go. Let me just show this, for example. So example of hand interrupt, right, would be like this video here, right? So maybe just that little thing, just that little
This thing right here has the potential to change your life. If this thing right here has the potential to change your life if you're an OnlyFans creator that's making less than 30K per month.
Right. So that's an example, right, where I'm just holding up this one thing, even though it's just literally like a USB stick, like it doesn't matter where it is. It's just a pattern interrupt, right? It's simply just to get their attention, thinking, fuck, what is on that stick that is gonna like, you know, help me get to wherever I'm trying to go. That's going to help me get an additional 2,000 subs a month, right? And that's a part of our like old offer, right? So that's the first thing, pattern interrupt, right? Narrowing their attention, right? So whether it's holding something up, like I did, like for example, you could literally hold up like a piece of paper that's like a script and be like, this exact script, like pulled in 20K in subs in 1 week for Adriana, like for example, right? Or like this is the script that like guarantees like that the guarantees to add like $20,000 in chat revenue within a week. Like that is instantly going to be like, fuck, he's holding the script up. Like, what is that? Like, I need that. And again, it's like it's stopping them and forcing their brain to ask like, okay, fuck, I need to watch the rest of this video, right? You can flash something confusing, right? Like a very quick screenshot of like 0 to 60K on OnlyFans. You can allude to danger, right? Like what is something that's really common that they might think is fine that you can frame in a way that seems dangerous, right? Like stuff like that is super key. Like one of my best performing assets, I can't remember specifically what I said, but it was like something along the lines of like it was just breaking a norm. Like it was I can't remember where it was, but it was breaking like an industry norm where I give you a broad example just to make this point known because I can't remember what I said, but like let's just say like an industry norm is, you know, you need to post organic content at least 3 times a day. Like if you figure out a way to just almost bait that and be like, if you're posting organic content like 3 times a day, like you are literally gonna go broke in the next 3 months because of XYZ thing, right? Like it's not really real, but you're hooking their attention and then you just, you know, revert to the next thing. And it's just like a sort of a misdirection of expectations, right? You can drop a very big hook where it's like very bold, like, you know, if you want to double your subs in the next 30 days, like this is for you. Like make sure you watch this video, right? Like if you're an OnlyFans creator making at least 10K a month, and you want to double your subs in the next 30 days, like keep watching this video, right? You can make shocking statements like, you know, most creators above 10K a month are leaving half their income on the table inside their chats. And I'm going to show you in this video, like how you're actually doing that and how you can avoid losing all the money in the chats to potentially double your income in the next 30 days. And then you go into the VSL, like I worked with XYZ creators and so on and so forth, right? You can keep it trendy. So if you want to like, if there's something that's trending, so like when trial reels was hitting big, like you could have run a VSL for like that 3 to 6 month period, specifically focused on like trial reels, and you could have used that in the hook, right? You can do simple things like adding movement, so walking toward the camera as the sort of hook and sitting down instead of just like sitting there still. all these different things you can do for pattern interrupts. Okay. Now, mistakes to avoid is opening the VSL with your name. This is like my biggest pet peeve, my biggest cringe. Where you're like, "Hi, I'm Dylan," whatever. They don't care, right? Like that doesn't work. A boring branded intro sequence is another mistake to avoid, right? And being vague. Like if you're vague, where you're like, "We help creators grow. We help maximize creators, blah, 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 blah." Like whatever thing that ChatGPT created for you because you was too lazy to actually do the work, like don't do that, right? So that is key, right? Like again, just super simple, like creators making 5 to 20K a month, use why you're stuck at that level and use exactly how to fix it. Super clean, super simple, right? So that's that. Then you have the quick hook, right? So that's the pattern interrupt. Then you have the quick hook. So the purpose of the hook is clarify who this is for, right? Because if it's not for them, they self-filter out. If it is for them, then they lean in. Because if you try and speak to everyone and you're thinking like, "Oh, but if Dylan said like you have to have a very specific avatar," like I'm scared if I, say that creators above 10K a month, they could be creators that miss out that are making 9K a month that I could also help. It's like, yeah, you could, but that doesn't matter, right? Because if you try and speak to everyone and you bend your standards, your quality standards, it just you end up speaking to no one, and that's why you have an issue getting quality leads, right? Because it needs to be polarizing. So the hook, right? Like clarifying who is for. If it's not for them, they self-filter out. If it is, then they lean in. Okay. So the how, right? Call out who they are. If you're a creator making above 10K a month, already posting daily on Instagram, that's the who, for example, right? Then you call out what they're experiencing, right? So if you're a creator that's making 10K, that's above 10K a month, that's posting every single day on Instagram, but you have no clear direction and you're hoping that you just get one more viral video because your subs are drying up, that's the what, right? That's what they're experiencing. And then you pull out what they want. And you want more paying subs more predictably and reliably, and you don't not having to like figure this whole content thing out yourself. Like that's the what they want, right? Like that's the hook, right? You're being very specific of who it's for. So you got the pattern interrupt. Do not mix the pattern interrupt with the hook. And again, the pattern interrupt is optional. You don't have to do it. It's just an additional hook. It's almost like a hook and then a rehook, right? So pattern interrupt, quick hook. So mistakes on the hook, being generic again, right? Like don't be generic. For creators who want to grow, like this is for creators who want to grow, like whatever, doesn't matter. Or overcomplicating, right? Like if you're really overcomplicating it, it's not gonna like it needs to be like 1 to 2 sentences max. Like sort of what I just said. Like if you're a creator already posting daily, but your chats are exhausting and your subs are flat, and you want more paying subs without putting in more hours, cool, right? Like that would be an example, not a very good example, but an example. So work on that part, right? That first 5 seconds, that hook. Once you've hooked them in, then it's the big claim and the promise, right? So this is where you're anchoring them to one big outcome. So this is what they'll remember, right? So the keys here, it must be bold but believable, and it must be tied to speed, risk, or ease, right? So like that, wherever your offer angle is. Examples is like, we install the traffic and chat system that doubles your income in 30 days without XYZ pain, right? Or we guarantee at least 2,000 new paying subs in 60 days, or, we work for free until you get that outcome, right? Mistakes here is going to be like stacking 5 to 6 claims because it dilutes the one thing, right? So you don't want to be making tons of, where's the one big claim, the main angle, everything else becomes subtopics. Like you don't need to make 5 to 6 claims here because it just dilutes the one thing, and they only want to focus on the one thing, right? Making it fluffy as well is the other thing. And the reason I use fluffy is because ChatGPT loves to use that word, and like when it's saying stuff like, "Oh, we help you reach your potential, or we unlock your full potential in 30 days by maximizing your organic content strategy." Like, no, okay, that doesn't mean shit. That's just a bunch of fluff. That doesn't work, right? And that's like the type of shit that ChatGPT is going to give you, right? So that's that. Then you have the guarantee. The purpose of the guarantee is to kill the fear, right? Because most creators have been burned before. And so this shows that you carry the risk and not them. So example, if you don't get 2,000 new paying subs in 30 days, we'll work for free until you do. If it doesn't work, we'll refund you all the money and send you XYZ on top, right? And you keep everything that we've done, right? Or this is a exitable contract, right? There's no long contracts. You can literally leave whenever you want, right? And the keys with that is to be short, to be measurable, and to tie to what matters to them. Subs, views, chats, income, those are the sort of core things. And again, keeping it in their language. So that is the guarantee. And then you've got the proof and the track record, right? So the purpose of the proof and the track record part of the VSL is to back up the claim, right? That's the key, right? So without the sort of proof and the track record, which is why I would say you need some sort of proof and track record before you even consider running ads. Like without that, the bold promises that you're making is just going to fall flat, right? So like if you're saying really bold shit like we've talked about, and then you have no real proof to back that up, everything's going to fall flat. Can it still work? Yeah, of course. Will it potentially attract less qualified creators? Potentially. Will it work less? Potentially. Like, will it be more expensive? Well, probably. Like, yeah, of course, right? But you ideally need some sort of proof and track record. So the tactics for that is flashing, I'd say a minimum of 3 to 4 before and after results quickly based on your thing. And again, this is why it's so key that you guys play the long game. And like my biggest piece of advice to you when playing the long game is from day one, getting clear on your avatar. Because if you're working with creators making above 10K a month that are posted on social media, that are struggling with chatting, right? And that's your avatar, for example. All your proof is going to be those creators. And that is who you're going to be speaking to in your ads. And so it's going to hit way harder, right? Like it's going to exclude everyone else because everyone that doesn't apply to you are going to be thinking, oh, well, I'm not making 10K a month and I'm not posting on social media. So this is not even relevant for me. This sucks. Good. That's good. Like you don't want those people, right? But the creators that are in that exact position, when you've got 3 to 4 case studies of people exactly like them achieving the exact thing that you're guaranteeing, doubling their income in 30 days, adding X amount to sub, like helping with the chat, whatever it is, like that is just going to make everything perform extremely better, right? So that is key, right? Flashing some results, before and after results quickly, right? Showing, your OnlyFans dashboards, right? Instead of you can show inflow as well, but OnlyFans dashboards on our ads actually can perform better than inflow just because it's more familiar. So that's that. And then again, like mention recognizable things to your avatar that you've done and worked with, right? So if you're specifically going after OnlyFans creators making above 10K a month that do cosplay, mention that Amy was a cosplay creator making $11,000 a month when she found us. And within 30 days, we had taken her income from $11,000 to $30,000 with this exact, whatever your mechanism is that you've told them about previously. But it wasn't just Amy. We also helped Valerie, who's also in the cosplay niche, go from X to Y. And not just that, but we helped these other creators go from X to Y. Right, and so that is why we can make such a bold claim, right? So like one creator went from 12K to 62K in 30 days, another scale to 9K to 28K in 60 days, another did this, blah, 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 with the same system that we're showing you, right? Mistakes on this is reading one testimonial and reading one long testimonial. It needs to be very short, like before and after, right? 12K to 68K in 8 weeks, 9K to 28K in 60 days. Right? Like super simple, super short. Talking about yourself instead of results, right? Again, massive mistake. Then you have the mechanism, right? So once you've got the proof in the track record, you've got the mechanism, right? This is the key part of the VSL. This ties it together, right? This is where you give them a logical reason to believe, right? And so you're pretty much answering like the question in their head of like, why will this work for me if nothing else has? Right? Because if they've got to this point, they're thinking, okay, it sounds good, like you've got these people results, but like nothing's worked for me. Like, why will this work for me? Or like, why should I trust you or whatever, right? So the framework for the mechanism is what they've tried and why it failed, and what you do and why it works. So again, if you're like, for example, like again, super brief example, like what they've tried. Well, they probably maybe depending again, this heavily depends on your avatar, which is why I'm iterating again, you need an avatar. What they've tried. They've tried working with all these agencies that promise all these crazy blah 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 results, and this is why that doesn't work, and this is why what we do actually works, right? Because we're not an agency, and instead we implement systems, blah, blah, like whatever you want to say, right? Or what they've tried. Okay, another example. Well, they've probably tried copy paste trends and copying other creators that look similar to them, but they've just not seen success. And they're wondering why, because there's other creators who are uglier than them, that is not as skilled as them, going viral, and they're not. And then the reason why that failed. Well, the reason why that failed is because every creator is actually unique and blah 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 blah, and you explain your rationale. And then this is why what we do actually works. Okay, and that is why you need to know your avatar, and you need to know like what they've likely tried. And the more data you get on that by working with your avatars all the time, the better this gets. Right, so that is key. So like if they've worked with agencies that have like spammed their page with like PPVs and just done and fucked their accounts, like that's what you would fall after, right? If you're going after a new market and they're doing it themselves, then again they're probably copying trends, they're probably burning out, they're probably not maximizing the whales in their chats, like all these different things, right? And so like that is what you would say. So the mistake is explaining everything, right? They don't need the full like fucking SOP of like what you do, why it works, like with a fucking SOP. Like they just need the big lever. Like you don't need to explain the tactics. It's just like, cool, this is what you probably tried, this is why it failed, and this is what we do, and this is why it works. And then you hit them with the next part, which is the soft call to action, right? So you give them an easy next step. So it's not pushy, it's more of just a logical next step. So click below to book your free growth call or growth plan call, and we'll map all these gaps in your chats. And if we don't see a clear path, then we'll tell you not to go ahead, right? And then you have the hard CTA, which is the purpose of the hard CTA after the soft CTA is to turn that warm interest into action, right? So this is where you add in urgency, scarcity, or timeline, right? This is where you're re-promising the benefit. You're restating the guarantee. So example, we're onboarding 3 creators this month, and if we can't show you a path to double your subs in the next 30 days, we will tell you not to join. But if you want one of those spots and you feel like this is for you, then you can literally just apply right below. And don't worry, like you're not going to have to get your credit card out. It's not a sales call. We're literally just going to sit there and see if we can actually map out this path to you. But if not, like no worries at all. It is right. So book the call, and I'll see you on the other side, wherever you want to do. Right. So again, recap: grab attention with a pattern interrupt. Clarify who it's for, which is the hook. Drop one bold promise, which is the claim. Remove the fear, which is the guarantee. Show it's real, which is the proof. Make it make sense, which is the mechanism. Invite them gently, which is the soft call to action, and then push them clearly with the hard call to action. The total runtime of that whole BSL should be 5 to 8 minutes, maybe even less, maybe even 4 minutes, right? That's where it's meant to be. Super tactile, super easy, boom, done, right? But we're not done there, because then you have a pre-call VSL, right? So you probably think, fuck's sake, don't like another VSL, like, fuck, I have to do this. Like, yeah, you do, right? So pre-call VSL. Now, the purpose of this is to increase the show rate, is to frame the call, right? So, it's a two-way fit check, not a hard sell. Like, we're actually making sure that it's a fit. Like, we're not just going to sit there and hard sell you. Is to handle any of the common objections that your avatar would have in advance, and is to reduce them having their guard up, to make your closing process and your sales cycle faster, right, and smoother. So super simple for the pre-call VSL. It's literally going to be like 1 to 2 minutes, like max, right? It doesn't have to be any longer. Welcome and context, right? So reassure them that they did the right thing by booking in, right? So example, congrats on booking your free chat audit. Like, this video is sort of going to show you exactly what to expect before we talk. Now, you need to watch this whole video through because we actually cancel a lot of our calls. And so if you don't understand this, like your call is not going to go ahead and we're just going to cancel it off the calendar, right? Now, then what happens on the call? So you set an expectation so it doesn't feel like a trap, right? So on the call, all we're going to do is look at your current traffic, look at your chats, look at your subs, potentially look at what your agency is currently doing and what we could be doing better, and just map out where the money is leaking. And if we sort of see a clear path to more paying subs, then we'll show you how we'd actually fix it. And if not, we'll just tell you straight, right? Because like just being honest, like we can't help everyone, right? And 90% of the calls that are booked end up getting cancelled before they even make it to the call because based on the questions they answer in the little application below that you would have just answered, like you're just not a fit, right? Then you have proof of value. So this way you flash in some quick wins, right? But just to be clear, like creators who joined us that were a fit, we've actually helped scale, like Adriana, for example, from 10K to 28K in the first 30 days, or Becky that went from 12K to 62K in literally your first week. And so these are actually real results with the same system that you hear about. Then you address their objections, right? So whatever their objections are, you just subtly address them. So, if they're thinking like, if your avatar is like, oh, I've just used agencies are like not that good and they ruin your account, it's like, look, we hate agencies too. We do XYZ that protects your brand and makes sure that your fans don't see you any differently. Whatever you want to say, whatever the objections are, right? We're not going to get into objections. You're handling the most common objections up front, so the setter and closer doesn't waste half of the call on fear. Easiest way to look at address objections part, right? Which is why when you're taking sales calls with your avatar, you need to, over time, you're going to adapt this pre-call VSL. You need to collect data on what the most common objections you're getting on sales calls are, and even before sales calls with your avatar. And then over time, you iterate that pre-call VSL to address those. Because then it feels like you're speaking to them directly and they're thinking like, damn, like this guy like just knows. Like I don't know how he understands like all this stuff. Like he's speaking to me, and it's because you've done the reps to understand what is going to come up. Then it's all about positioning, right? So after you have objections, it's about positioning the agency or whatever you're positioning yourself as. It doesn't even have to be an agency. So this is where you're showing authority without bragging. So it's like, we already work with top creators in multiple niches, and we coach whatever you want to do, right? Like that's why I said in one of mine is like, we work with some of the biggest creators in the world, and also we coach hundreds of agencies as well. So like you're in safe hands, like this is all we do. So you're showing authority without bragging. Then what we need from them, so this is where you, again, get them to qualify. So like showing that, just easy, like look, on the call, like all we ask, like we treat this serious. So like, please have like your OnlyFans stats ready, like your socials handy, so we can actually run a proper sort of tear down. And also like, just make sure you're not driving, make sure you're not, make sure you're in like a room where it's quiet and you can actually focus, and just make sure you're actually going to show up, right? Because like, we don't want to waste our time or waste your time. And then you can also add some little sort of like reconfirmations, like make sure you would have received an email. Just make sure on the email you click like, I know the sender, or not spam, because sometimes it gets sent to spam. Make sure you just add it to your calendar and just make sure you get, you actually turn on the reminders so you don't forget this call. Because if you don't show up, like we're just going to blacklist you and you won't have an opportunity to work with us again, right? So again, like I said, do that. Make sure you get your OnlyFans stats right. Make sure your socials are handy. The more info you share, the clearer the plan will be, the more we can actually help you. And then you reassure them and add some urgency. So look, we only onboard like 3 creators per month just to keep the quality standards really high. Like I said, we cancel 90% of the calls on the calendar. So obviously you've got a spot on the calendar now. So just show up ready. Like you'll get massive value whether we partner or not. And then you end with a call to action, right? To show up, right? So just make sure that, again, you make sure you click I know the sender on the confirmation email. You add the call to your calendar. You can even give a demonstration of like how to do that. And then look, you're set for the call, and that's it, right? So like that is where it'd be 2 to 3 minutes, right? Like that's all that pre-call VSL is going to be. It's not a salesy, like overhyped tone. It's very calm and it's very like confident but nonchalant, right? It's the sort of the tone you want to be doing on that pre-call VSL. And so like that is it, right? Like that is the whole playbook from offer and lead magnet, which again we recapped in more depth last month. Ads and hook scripting, ads sort of strategy, VSL, funnel, and the pre-call VSL, right? And so like, again, the funnel and everything is literally already in the program. So yeah, that is pretty much it on the ad stuff.